Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik with RazorEmporium.com. Today with a glimpse of the Razor Archive series of videos into the world of single ring razors. So you may have heard about them, you may have come across one at an antique store or somewhere online, and you've been wondering about these guys and what they are. Today we're going to dive into that. So the single ring belongs to the old type or the original kind of series of razors from Gillette. And these are going to be denoted by a curved guard that is open comb and features two stabilizer pins. I'll show you those. It is a three-piece construction. The unique thing with this three-piece construction is that the guard and the handle are connected, and there's a cap and there's a barrel. This barrel is also where your serial number will be located. These razor sets were made in many different combinations from about 1905 to about 1921. And I do say combination because that's kind of one of the big hallmarks, is that, you know, before with the double ring razors we talked about, they were really just kind of sold in the standard kind of $5 configuration in a leather case. Now we're starting to see, a couple years later, the advent of the travel set, of having the entire shaving experience able to travel with you. So you're going to have these two big tubes, and the most common thing I always hear, you know, people see these big giant tubes here, and they're wondering, you know, what's inside. They think it's for, you know, soap or whatever, and that's true. So one of them's going to have a brush, and one's going to have a soap stick. So Gillette was actually making their own soap and putting it inside in a little stick. And you're still going to have your blade compartments here, so you can travel with those. And the beautiful thing with these sets is that they offered many different leather types. So you have like this is a Moroccan leather. You're going to have the traditional black leather, but then they got into some exotic ones like seal skin. There's just a lot of kind of interesting components of this razor series. There's also, they had other options in terms of monogramming and even engraving the razors. So like this is a very heavily engraved set over here, and this would be at the upper end of what was possible. So, you know, the standard Gillette set was $5. Your standard combination set was like $7.50. You get into these were like in the $50 range, sometimes even $75 range back in the day. So, I mean, these would be thousands and thousands of dollars in today's money to buy these. Even your standard, you know, $5 set would be like $135 today, you know, for one of these razor sets. So these were certainly something that were nicer. You know, you got to think of what's happening in the period of time, 1905, 1921. It's the progressive era. They're starting to get more into expertise. They're starting to also have people just kind of desiring nicer things. At the same time, towards the middle of this era, 1915, 1916, World War I is starting. You have a lot of people, you know, kind of saving money, and people trying to buy like value items, and safety razors started to be marketed more and more as a cost savings, that you weren't going to be spending money at the barbershop anymore, that you could travel with them. That was another huge aspect of this era, the single ring era, and having, you know, everything together in one compartment, that you could throw this into your bag and hop on the train for a business trip abroad, and you would be completely set up and ready to go. In fact, a little story, that's actually one of the reasons Gillette even thought about safety razor shaving was on a train car as a traveling salesman. He was finding it difficult to be stropping his razor while he was on a moving railroad car, and thought there had to be a better way. But anywho, there's other interesting things. Like we had one set here that features a little signature on the bottom of this single ring razor. And this is actually something that was like a salesman award in that time period. So there's, you know, some definitely very interesting pieces of history. One problem, however, kind of like the double ring, you know, these razors are so beautiful. They were done in silver plating, they were done in gold plating, gunmetal plating, but they, you know, if they're silver like this, they're going to get a patina. Now, I personally think this is a beautiful, beautiful silver patina. So even, so smoky, kind of dark looking. I would never polish it myself. That's why it's not polished. But if you're a shaver today trying to use one of these, that patina may not be the most hygienic thing, and keeping on top of that silver plating with regular polishing is kind of a drag. And in terms of other problems with it, these little comb teeth, always a problem. You drop them, they're going to get bent or crack. And then the handle itself, this design of a hollow tube, and you're putting all this pressure on it, squeezing it with this knob down here, people cranking it down. These handles often split out. Now today's double-edged blades are super wafery, thin, flexible. The old 3-hole blades from this era, not so much. Much thicker carbon steel, and I can see why they crack, because you try to crank one down, it's like a spring. But on that note, that was actually one way Gillette talked about their razors being adjustable even back in the day, was that if you loosened that knob, the blade would kind of spring a little bit, and you would have a little bit different blade gap created, a little different blade angle created as well. So Gillette actually advertised these razors as being adjustable. Overall, very cool period of history. In terms of rarity, I would say the single ring is certainly not as rare as the double ring razors. Keep in mind this change between the double ring and single ring kind of happened fly the night. Gillette didn't promote it, didn't push it, didn't advertise it. It just kind of happened. We think honestly it happened because of efficiency of how to produce it, but it wasn't a feature like, let's say, the new improved or the Goodwill or something that it was an evolution. But rarity's sake, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being it belongs in a museum, and 1 being it's going to be at the bargain bin at the grocery store. You can find them anywhere. I would say these are square in the middle at 3, 3.5 maybe. Certainly in these nicer presentation cases with all the components would be at the upper end of that, maybe even 4 out of 5. By itself as just a loose razor, lower end of that, 2.5, 3. They were made in a lot higher quantity. Gillette's in its prime in this period of time. They're making these razors now in the millions over this, the 15 years it was in production. So definitely a lot more of them than the double rings. And one other last interesting thing about the serial numbers on these razors. So if you look at the number, you can go onto our website, GilletteDaycodes.com. Some of them have the number on the barrel, some of them have the number on the guard, but either way you look at it, Gillette was honestly doing these numbers, yes, for quality control, but really number 2, keeping track of dealers who were selling Gillette razors and what prices, because there was a lot of problems Gillette was having as a company where people were undercutting these prices and selling the razor models for much cheaper. And Gillette wanted the razor models to kind of have a certain echelon of quality and of price, and they did the numbering in a lot of ways to keep track of, if this batch went to this, retailer, they could keep track of if they were selling at a different price. So that is the world of all things single ring. Please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time here at Razor Emporium.